You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Chat for a couple of segments, talk some ball with Sean Salisbury. So awesome, just a font of knowledge. We love this opportunity to talk some college, some pro with Sean, who jumps aboard with us now. Sean, how are you, man?
I'm doing awesome, brother. Everything's good. And you apparently in New Orleans, you guys ain't doing bad. Baton Rouge, life's good for you. Everything's good, man.
It's interesting you say that, Sean. LSU went on the road. I was talking about the Saints. We'll get to that here in a minute, but LSU went on the road and they beat South Carolina, but a lot of the angst is how they beat South Carolina, getting down 17-0, needing to rally, all that stuff. Your perspective, more encouraged by the comeback or concerned by the start?
I lean from there's much more growth in adversity than there is for constant. Everybody wants a smooth sailing and a paved road. I like organized chaos, Matty. I kind of like the way they did this, turning it over, slacking a little bit in the red zone, miscommunication, special teams, quarterback throwing the ball to the other team, being questioned. What are you guys doing? Have to come back after spotting South Carolina a bunch of points, and then find a way to do it. I'm telling you, and I know we all want it to look pretty. But pretty losses are not as good as ugly wins.
Yes.
I'll tell you, honestly, they aren't. And I'm just telling you, Matty, from the years I've been around great players far better than me or been in those meeting rooms or played, I can never remember us growing much. Now, you get confidence, and it's nice. But growing much from kicking somebody's ass 56-10. Those are great, but that's the outlier. That doesn't happen very much. Hell, you can't even get a 10-point spread in the NFL. So those are the ones where everything's perfect. The other teams – or you're playing Carolina. No disrespect to you guys, but right now Carolina's not very good. But they did what they had to do. They handled them with. I'm talking about the Saints with that. But in the LSU thing, when this to me, the growth of it not only builds your confidence, but you know you can win in games that were that maybe you shouldn't have won. That you can turn it over and you can make mistakes on special teams, fixable ones, fixable mistakes that you most likely can control. And I'm sure they took a little heat from Brian, and they came back up, but they responded. So to me, I find out far more about a team like this than I do when everything's just easy, because it's never that easy. Most of the time, you got to win games on the unpaved road and finding your way back. So I'm okay with this. And now they got to get some stuff cleaned up. Make no mistake about it, as we well know. Even the Saints, when we talk about them, are going to say, "Yeah, we killed Dallas," but they're still going to say some things. They want to freshen up and clear up. So I'll take this win at LSU. It's not easy to win on the road. I don't care who you're playing, especially in that conference. And there was a gut check in there. It would have been much easier to say, see you next week. But they fought under a lot of tough circumstances. I'll take this any day of the week over the pretty game that you know is not going to last. I think you find more about yourself in a game like this.
Yeah, Sean, I think the thing that is maybe the biggest question here is, what of the things that went wrong, what is fixable? Meaning, like, we think this offensive line can play better than they have.
For sure. They can.
Can the run defense actually improve? You got a lot of young guys and not a lot of really NFL talent on the interior of that defense. Like, when you see what's going wrong, and I mean, I get it, you're not sitting there looking at the all-22 or in staff meetings, but your 10,000-foot view, where do you think they can improve?
Yeah, and I do watch it, and it's hard when you're watching the game and then another game you're trying to, then the fine tuning and the fine tooth comb that coaches go through in those meeting rooms. Here's the way I've always felt about that. And LSU has built their program. Now they've got great perimeter talent always, but the LSU has always been like SC used to be when I talk about them, and they're different this year when they're physical. Now, when you got young guys that are still not only learning scheme, but learning how to play college football, you can scheme all you want. Give me players over scheme all day and twice on Sunday. Now, when I get both, I'm winning national titles. I'm putting myself to be one of the better defense in the country. But I'll always take ability of players and talent than I will scheme. You can scheme up, but if you're still getting pushed around and bullied, it's really tough. Here's my honest opinion about that. Sometimes you find out But you know if you're a physical at that point during training camp and you'll test it the first couple of weeks. For me, when it comes to physicality, I know the mentality is you want to be physical. Every team does. But sometimes the other guy's just a little more physical than you, and you got to, you got to understand what the grind of college football and understand and scheme and all the things that just go with playing against good offensive lines, playing in a very difficult conference and a physical conference. So you can fix some scheme stuff. You can get smarter instead of running around blocks. If you got the A gap, make sure you're disciplined. All the things we hear all the time. But I'm a big believer on all levels, high school, college, the NFL. If you're not, and I'm not saying they're not physical, but they're not as physical as they want to be at the point of attack at that position, so you can get pushed around in the run game a little bit. I think during the season, Maddie, that's hard to fix. We can go into an NFL season saying that front seven's pretty stout, they're going to fix it, and that's a good front seven, and they're physical. I know what I'm going to get from the Texans most of the time each week with their upgrade. So when it comes to LSU, that may be the hardest thing to fix because physicality doesn't grow on trees, brother. You either got it or you don't. You can scheme it up, but if you find somebody who can bully you, then you just got to grit your teeth and hope that you're in the right position, and you got two guys making a play on one. But physicality's tough. I think they can improve on careless mistakes, making sure that you're the center snap and you're paying attention, all those things, and coming out of the locker room. And in this game in particular, on the road, to stay focused quickly and early. You got to be urgent with your attention to detail. You can't just say, we'll finish strong. It worked for them in this one. But most of the time when you spot a team in the SEC that many points, it's hard to overcome. Yeah. So the physical nature of a front seven, to me, is a recruiting, bigger bodies, experience. Hard to do that when every week you're trying to put in a game plan. I think physicality, I think you can finesse people. You can work on that far more than you can. You can't ask a guy go in the weight room and get 20 pounds stronger in 2 weeks. That's a right. Mentality and an attitude, but it's also some DNA, and that'll need to get better when they want to compete again like they have in the last handful of years in the conference.
Hey, one more here. We'll break it on. We're going to talk some NFL. Have you gotten to see UCLA yet this year? They're coming to Baton Rouge this week, and man, what I've seen, it doesn't look super great. Thoughts on the Bruins if you've seen them?
Listen, what are you talking about? Super great for the Bruins. I hope that's what you mean.
Right.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. It doesn't look awesome for them.
Yeah. No, it isn't. And they are. What team? Think about this, man. This is where it starts. And I like Chip Kelly. I mean, we're doing it more now, maybe because of the situation or where you think you're going to go get a different head coaching job. But which team? And I think that it was it Boston College, and Bill O'Brien got that job because their head coach went to Green Bay, I think, in the offseason. Who leaves a Power 5 school that's moving to the Big Ten? Who leaves that program that you're trying to build and goes and takes an offensive coordinator job? Now, you do that if you're FCS to FBS, if you're at Bowling Green and you want to go to Ohio State. It's really rare. So that ought to tell you how he felt about the program. And it's obviously Chip thinks he's going to get a better job as a coordinator, the next head coaching job than that. So whatever, if it's in-house or not, UCLA's not a good football team. They're not physical. They are going to have a hard time, and they talk about getting bullied. And I have not watched a lot of them this year. I studied some of the stuff in the off-season for them. I have not watched a full game of them. I know this. They should be overwhelmed coming into Baton Rouge. Are you guys playing in Baton Rouge this week? Is that where
so they played in the Rose Bowl back in 21, and
right.
LSU didn't want to tackle Charbonnet, and they didn't want to cover that big tight end, and they end up losing that game.
That far different team because that running back was a big physical kid who could run, and the quarterback was pretty dynamic, right?
Yeah, DTR.
This is different, man. This is a team. If you just play good football, they should overwhelm UCLA, and it's going to be a tough task not only to go on the road but also play in that building. That ought to tell you, because I love college football, and if I'm not watching UCLA, who's a rival for the Trojans, they ain't got much to offer, and their coach is going to coordinate instead of be the head coach for $3 or $4 million. Oh. Yeah, there's a lot going wrong at UCLA right now.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.